Hey everybody, it's Lisa. I'm back and I got my lighting fixed a little better this time. Last time I was doing a video, my lighting went out right in the middle of my shoot. So anyway, today I'm trying to launch this wine, coffee, and conversation piece. You know, because a lot of times you have something you want to talk about and you just want to get it out of your system, and I felt I had to do it this way because I couldn't get a conversation going with the person that I had a problem with. But here it goes. I'm on a new journey now. Probably back on the same journey I was already on, which is getting things taken care of in my life, paid, most of the bills paid off, and getting back into, you know, the workforce and everything like that, especially after this pandemic we're going through. Hold on. This coffee that I'm drinking is pretty good. It was my own concoction. My Keurig machine I use, I love that machine so much. I'll probably never go back to coffee pots. But let's see, I got the Dunkin' Donuts K-Cup. I put some eggnog in there with regular powdered cream. And let me also say, it's a new, I have to get up and show you. It's a new eggnog that they have out. It's called Fireball eggnog. It's the Fireball whiskey, which is really non-alcoholic. It's just a flavor. Whiskey mixed with the eggnog. And it's a whole thing. Hold on. I'm going to grab it and show you. Oh, and by the way, what I'm wearing today is one of my Fashion Nova cozy dresses. This thing is so warm. I'm getting obsessed with this material. I guess I shouldn't use the word obsessed because we shouldn't be obsessed with anything, but this is like a terry cloth towel, like a material that you get with a bath towel. It is so warm. This is like the perfect dress for the winter. It's a maxi. It truly hits the floor. Make sure I'm in view. It truly hits the floor. And I love maxi dresses. I'm 5'6", and I'm not the tallest woman, but I think that's the average height. 5'6" or either 5'7" is the average height, I guess. And I just love dresses or skirts that hit the floor. Not great about showing my legs all the time, which I guess there's nothing wrong with. I've gotten compliments, but I don't know. I've just been sort of a maxi girl. But this is the eggnog. I thought it was a creamer for coffee when I bought it, but it's just really eggnog. But it's I guess Fireball whiskey they joined in. Yeah, because that's their emblem with that little devil like monster on the side that you find on the Fireball whiskey. But this is actually non-alcoholic. It tastes like it tastes like there's more cinnamon in it, because I think the Fireball whiskey has a lot of cinnamon in it. Anyway, I'm actually gonna buy the actual whiskey because I just want to try a little something alcoholic in it. But that mixed with this, when it's already cinnamony, it will be great. This is really good. I just got it the other day at Walmart. I only had 2 left, so they're going off the shelves. I'm gonna have to get another one. But anyway, so I think I'm doing much better than I was when this all went down. I gave an ex that I was once married to another chance, thinking we were gonna get married, and not because it was in my head. You know how some women say, oh, you know, I think this is how it's gonna go. I'm not gonna say anything, but I think if I do these wonderful things for him, he'll want to marry me. No, it did not happen like that. That when women got all that going on in their head and they don't speak on it to their significant other, I think that's kind of a problem with yourself, that you're building up something that's not there. Because two people have to feel that way. What happened here was we both agreed to this. He brought it up, and we were in such a great atmosphere in the beginning where we both thought that was a great idea. Why not do this again? Now you're, you know, getting out of your relationship that you have been in. They've been separated for 2 years. The one he originally would, well, not, well, I won't say originally. This makes his 1, 2, 3, third marriage, but they're separated. And it just didn't happen. But, you know, now when I look back, I feel like it probably wasn't enough time anyway. We're talking about 2 years prior. And I don't know. I'm just, you know, I'm only grateful to God that that it didn't go any longer than it did. What had happened to me with him. Because at my age, I feel like I'm too old now just to be going through what I probably would have gone through in my much younger years, my 20s or whatever, or even teenage years with a guy, and it go the way that this went. And then you're like, oh my God, you know, you just can't get a lot of years back. You can't get none of them back. When you make a mistake with someone and your whole relationship is tumultuous, you can't get it back. You just simply can't get it back. So, and that's where my head is at now, you know, with me being older, and, you know, not that everything is going to go perfect for you. When you're in a relationship, you're going to have to take the bad with the good. But this, I saw a lot of red flags. He has grown children. I finally met them. In the beginning, like I said, everything was great. He and I had went through COVID together, and what I mean by that, we both got sick about the same time, and he was here. I was nursing him, because you know with COVID, a lot of people can't come around you. It's just you that you have to be quarantined, or if someone else is in the house have it, you're just stuck. So I helped to nurse him back to health. And it looked like right after that, and he's going through recovery, he was doing fine, he went into this whole, it's like he morphed into this horrible person that I wasn't used to seeing all the years I've known him. I mean, he has this horrible temper that I don't know if he let his friends see this temper or not. I think most of them just know him as the good time guy, because he supplies a lot of fun at a party for them. And what I mean by that, he supplies a lot of things with his money. And I've always seen him to be somewhat of a sociopath, because he wants to put on this show for everyone else that he's this one face, and then behind the scene he's doing very manipulative things. And he would do these things. Actually, to me, he totally sabotaged our relationship. He sabotaged our relationship as if he didn't want it anymore, rather than just sit down and just say, hey, this is something I don't want to do anymore, or it's not working. He has a heavy drinking problem. He would come back to my house with in a heavy intoxication, and that's when I would get the worst of him. And I've said all this to him. I've broken this all down. Grab this. I've broken this all down to him, and and he doesn't hear anything. And another thing I've learned from him too over time is that he doesn't like to talk about anything in the past that he has done that he is still dealing with and doesn't want to fix. Well, who doesn't want to face their past in this world? A lot of us don't. But I've learned the only best way to move on in your life is to view as to what you did in the past and find a way to fix it, because your past can easily interfere with your present and then your future, because you're not fixing the problem. You're still dealing with it. Even though you're trying to forget that one or particular episode or maybe several episodes you did in the past, you're trying to forget them. You're just pushing them down, regressing them. But it's a part of you because you didn't try to analyze why you did it. You just keep doing it. So it's a part of you. It's going to be in your future. It's going to be in the present. The moment with him having a anger problem, is what I like to call this, because there was absolutely no way that I could see myself sitting in a room with him, and this is why I'm doing this too, conversation with you guys. I couldn't sit in a room with him and just talk. And if our problems creeped up into the conversation, a lot of times it did, because it was never resolved. It was just in limbo all the time. So that's when he would lash out. That's when he would get angry and start bursting out and calling me these horrible names, which I had not been used to from him either. But now this is the new improved him that I'm dealing with now, and I'm like, wow, I don't even recognize you. And that was another scary thing. He would get in such a rage when he would get angry at me that, have you ever heard people say when they're talking about an abuse that they went through? And that's what I call this. It was like verbal, mental, and emotional abuse he was putting me through, and I had to just end this. When people get such in a rage, the face that they normally have, you now see when someone is in a rage, it's a face that you don't recognize anymore. They're putting on this face. It's beyond angry. You might have seen their angry face, but it goes beyond that, as if they could hurt you. And it's a face that I've never seen, and it was almost scary to look at him. He was like he had morphed into something just monster-like. And I've seen his face a few times. The biggest time it was when he said he was leaving, and he thought it was the best thing. And I was like, oh, thank God, it's working in my favor. He needs to go. I've been putting up with this so long. He come in my house, he's drinking heavy, and he's getting the worst. He's giving me the worst of him. He would be argumentative. I couldn't say anything to him. I almost didn't even want to be in the same room with him. But this man is living in my house. And I'm trying to make the best of it, but the only way I can make the best of it, it would be only the best for him. It wouldn't be the best for both of us. I just could not talk to him. So how can you live with someone who you can't talk to? When they come in the house, you have to stay quiet, mousy. Come on, I am not a kid anymore, not a teenager anymore. Even though I wouldn't wish any of this, don't misunderstand me, I would not wish any of this on a young lady or a young girl learning how to be in a relationship, because that's one of our vulnerable points at that time when we're growing up, is learning how to be in a relationship. We're in love. Love feels great, but yeah, it can be a little ugly in the middle there at times, because you're learning another person. You know yourself, or sometimes you're learning yourself, but you are learning someone else too, and you're learning how to incorporate their life into your life and vice versa. So there may be some times where you learn about something going on with the other person that you probably didn't even want to know, but now you got to put yourself out there, because there's a relationship going on. You may have to be there for that person at some point in time, and that's part of being in a relationship. But when they're fighting you, tooth and nail. It's so hard. Uh, it's so hard to, it's hard to get along. It's hard to just coexist. And that's the word I'm looking for. It's hard to coexist in the same room, the same atmosphere. When he would take me over to his family house, I was so uncomfortable. I felt like a battered woman. You know, I had to pretend that everything is okay. He be in front of his family and everything to them because they think they know him, but they really don't. I've always said this, quote me, and this is what I've learned growing up. People may think they know a person, any one individual you think you may know, but the person that is the most intimate, and I'm not talking about sex, I'm talking about dealing with all of the things that they share, that's the person that knows that person the best. And that's why you see a lot of people on the news saying, oh, I didn't know he worked every day, he played with my kids, or he was so nice to me. And they stand up for that person because they think they know everything about them. You don't know everything about that person because you just walk by, or even if you're a family member, a lot of cases you don't know them, because family members have a tendency, and I'm guilty of it too, and we all guilty of doing this. With your family member, a lot of times you may see things in that person growing up that you ignore, that are really red flags for someone else. And they, sometimes it's the outsider, see that this person has some issues going on that needs to be addressed. And I'm not talking about, oh, they scratch their behind or they leave the toilet seat up. No, I'm talking about problems in this person. I'm talking about problems with this person that somebody needs to sit down and they need to be talked to. Like, what made you to be this way? What made your head tick this way? What is really going on? So I had to get out of that. I mean, I got a lot of things I'm trying to do for myself now, and I honestly, I don't know if it sounds harsh coming out my mouth saying it, but I just don't have time for it, because that is, especially when you with the person who don't see that they have a problem. They don't see they have it. Now, I'm not saying that I'm one without fault in my life, or not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I have less problems in my basket that I'm dealing with. But those sort of problems, no, I do not have. And don't want to fix them. I mean, I was there for him. Because I'm the type of person. Let's sit down and talk. Let's talk it out. I've discovered with him, he's not a talker. He's not a confrontationalist. A lot of men are not. I've noticed that too. Some of them want to pretend like, hey, it's not manly like to talk about your problems because it shows a sign of weakness. Well, it shows a sign of weakness by you being afraid to talk about your problems. That shows a sign of weakness. My dog is over here falling asleep. But a person, man or woman, who can sit up and get it out, even if you don't want to talk about it to the person that you're with. Maybe you want to put on this front like he does with everybody. Maybe you want to put a front on with me that the problem is not there, because I'm the only one who confronted him with that. I'm the only one that told him he had a drinking problem. I'm the only one that told him, as far as I know, because his wife separated from him. I believe she told him too. A lot of people spoke badly about her in his family, but you have to remember, they only got one story. They got his story. They didn't get her story. I only met her once. She seemed like a nice lady. I think her daughter is wonderful. But I think she was a quiet person in their marriage. Now, this is me speculating because she and I never sat down to talk. But from what I hear about her from his family, I don't hear anything good about her. But when I rekindled with him after me being married to him many years ago, I began to see through my eyes what she must have been going through as a woman. Now, I'm sure she had her faults. You know, from things I hear about both of them, they both had some faults. I don't think he should be looked at as this martyr, but yet his family looks at him as that way, like he was without sin. No, not him. I know that. You know, if she was here with me right now, I'd say, look, girlfriend, no, I know you couldn't have been the only one doing anything and him sitting there with a halo over his head. No, I know him. I knew him before she knew him well. And I think she probably thought she knew him when she met him. But that's the way I see it. I feel like she really did not get a fair shake. And, you know, and this is just my short version of their story, not even knowing all of her story. You know, and I want to put that out there first and only because I can't speak for her, and I really can't speak for him in their relationship. But me knowing him, I'm not like his family who takes all of him and make it like he was to be pitied. No, not him, because I know him too, and I believe he didn't probably talk in his relationship, and I believe he just based things on his own understanding. Let me say that again. Based things on his own understanding without talking to his significant other or wife. The same thing he did with me. Oh, I got a gas bubble. Same thing he did with me. When I was once married to him, I got treated the same way. Even though our marriage didn't last as long as this one that he was in last. But it didn't matter. I saw almost everything that she dealt with. But, you know, how us women are, you know, you have to go through what you go through with that person. Even if someone tapped you on the shoulder and say, girlfriend, let me tell you, before you consider walking down the aisle with this person, this is what you're going to get. So it would have made no sense to say anything about that. So, but like I said, we didn't know each other like that anyway. I believe she was on a mission. She got what she wanted. And like every woman out here, you got to go through it. You don't have to, but most times in love and war, we try to say, I'm going to go through it because I know it'll never happen to me. Yeah, honey, it can happen to you. So it did, and that's why they were separated. I guess she's moved on. I don't know that. And what I mean by that, she is out of the house with him, but they, they've had children together. The children are grown, but I think that affected them too. And that's another story I, out of fairness, don't feel like I should be sharing because I don't know a lot about that. But from any separation in a marriage and you have children, they see a lot. And I'm a product of a divorce. Mine was at a much younger age than what they dealt with, but it affects you. And I think a husband and wife don't realize how it's affecting their kids. But it affects you. As a kid, you're affected by it. Your father lives across town, your mom lives over here, and in some cases, one or the other or both, they get separate relationships that's not mommy and daddy anymore. underneath the roof. And I think that probably had something to do with why he didn't let me meet his kids at the time. But I keep saying, remember, these kids now are grown. They know mom is gone. They visually see mom is gone and has another relationship. Uh, um, uh, it was so weird. So weird. And I thought I had a friendship with one of his relatives, actually two of them. They were women, of course, and they were kind of, and I feel like God could have been talking through them to just give me a heads up. They probably saw what was getting ready to happen. Like, he's not ready to get married again. He probably doesn't want to get married again. He's going through something that I think that he still wants to be with her. He's never going to tell you that. He's not going to tell you that. I think he was blinded to through it. He still communicates with her. And you would say, oh, well, they got kids. Of course they communicate. No, not that kind of communication. It's a very odd type of, maybe I shouldn't call it odd, but it's, let me explain. When he and I got together, he talked about her like a dog in the very beginning. Months later, I saw this changing. And all of a sudden, he worded it, oh, this is my best friend. After everything you two have been through together with the deceiving, they had a lot of deception in their marriage. It was a lot of deception. I want to say perhaps the both of them, because nobody is sitting down talking, from my understanding. Because I know he's not a sit down and talk sort of person. He's not. So I'm guessing that probably started an argument. He was doing it with me. He was doing it with me before they even got together. But before they even met and got married. Well, they met already, but before they got married. But like I said, you know, I feel for her. And I still feel for her. Me sitting here knowing now that we were a bad match, me and him. I'm an ambitious sort of person. I go out and get what I want. And I'm not saying he's probably none of these things, but he's not a leader in his, you know, alpha mega thing as a man. He is a good worker. He's a worker bee. And that would please someone, for them to be with someone like that. And I would be pleased with someone like that too. But I think he's got a lot of things that he probably wants to do, but he just doesn't have it, a get up and go image in him to do it. And I think that bothers him in life sometimes, you know. There was some, because I say this because there were times that I had ideals to do something and he just didn't have it in him to do it. So he would take that positive energy and try to make it look as though I didn't want him a part of it. Well, I do want you a part of it, but because you don't understand it, you chose not to learn and understand it. He didn't want to sit down and have a conversation with me. And even fast forward up to now, I've tried, even with us look like we were moving toward leaving each other, I tried to sit down him on occasion, almost several times. Camera had cut off on me. Okay. So continue. I'm going to stop this because it's about going too long, I guess. But anyway, I guess that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm going to have to wrap this up because my film is running out. So anyway, that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm at a better place now in my mind on things, and I'm moving on. It would have been a disaster this time around, us getting back together. And I think that was more mature, making that decision, than to try to press on what was going on. Fast forward and making this part of the video shorter. Um, I just put all of the red flags together, from him taking so long to introduce me to his kids, yelling and screaming and talking down to me throughout the entire time we were together. I mean, it wasn't like once or twice. The entire time, it got so bad over time. I could not exist in the same room with him at all. And that was a huge red sign. Women, I tell you, and men too, because we're not victims all the time either in a relationship. I mean, if there's a woman out there or a man out there that you're in a relationship with and they're abusing you in any form, physical, mental, emotional, I think I'm missing one, get out of it. If you can't sit down and have that conversation with them and you two talk it out, and they don't get defensive, because that's another red sign, red flag. If they don't get defensive, because a person getting defensive behind that is also a person who is not willing to admit that they are doing this to you also. Get out of it. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a person who's been through it, and it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. You may think in your head like, oh, well, he gonna go with somebody else. So you don't want that for someone else. You don't want that. You know, the people say, I wouldn't wish this on a dog. I wouldn't wish this on a dog. I wouldn't wish this on another person out there, because it's so, it robs you of yourself. If you're not that person, I even hate to think there are women out there, and I know there are women out there who are used to being in relationships like that. I know that they are. I used to have a friend many years ago, and I haven't seen her in years, so I really don't know what's going on with her now, but I hope that she's gotten better from the relationship she thought she had. It was a group of us girlfriends. It was 4 of us. I love those girls to death. They were wonderful. I don't even know how we drifted off. One of my friends out of the group, she moved to another state. She was going to be a doctor. So, no, she was going to be a pharmacist, I think. Yeah. Well, it's a doctor. Yeah. So, I'm hoping she did the best. You know, she had a kid and a young girl and whatever, and you can imagine how that is. So, going to school wasn't in the cards for her to go to college. So now her kid was, you know, of age, and she decided to do this for herself. Cool. So that kind of broke our little group up a little bit. And then before I knew it, all of us were going in different directions. But one of my friends out of the group, she was going through what she was going through with her guy. Hold on just a second, because I want to make sure my camera's still running. Yeah. Sometimes when you have a lot of stuff on your camera, it doesn't hold a lot of videos. So she went through what she went through, and I was going through something too. Oh man, that was the best group of friends I had. I so miss them. I so miss them. I haven't had a bunch of friends like that were in a group that we all knew each other, and we would, you know, we all had different careers and stuff like that, but we would all get together and we would just go kick it. We'd go party a little bit. When we weren't no heavy parties, because we were all taking care of our lives. Most of all my girls, they had kids. I didn't have any kids, still don't. And now that I'm older, don't think I want none. I don't know, I go back and forth with that, but at this time it's sure gonna have to be an adoption, right? That's another video though. But yeah, so I miss that group. Not to jump off onto that, but maybe one day I'll talk about that too. Um, and now I have maybe two or three pretty good friends I can go hang out with, but I can't get them all together to get to know each other and we all hang out. So it's cool. But last thing, truly, again, do please get out of those type of relationships. It's nothing worse than going through everything you go through. I actually think it's a blessing when you learn about them before you get married. Some of these cases that I've seen, that guy or maybe that woman who is the aggressor, you don't find out about them until you walk down the aisle with them, you know. And then I won't say it's too late. I won't say that, because you can always get out of something if it's bad for you. Shoot, people get out of stuff when it's good for them, so you can do the same thing if it's something bad for you. But yeah, you can always get out of something that's bad for you, because you should never feel like it's branded on your behind that you can't get out of it, or you got this tattoo for life. And you choose people with actual tattoos, get them removed. But I gotta say, I don't know, it's the worst thing in the world to try to put up with something like that, because you become the shell of a person. And if you never knew what that felt like, I have. It's like you do not feel you have truly any insides anymore. You have nothing inside of worth. You just this shell of a person. When he walks in, he see you, but he can't see through you at all, because there's nothing there. There's nothing else there. You've taken everything from me. I have no feelings. I'm just like a robot. I'm there for you to do at your will of me. That's it. And that's probably what a lot of people mean by that. You become this shell of a person. I'm sure other people have their own definition of what that is, but it's got to be pretty similar, because that's how I felt. And I can't stress this enough. We all have issues in our life, especially in this day and age. There's so much going on and things are getting worse. I mean, if you're a believer of the Bible or whatever, not trying to make this conversation spiritual, but you got to have a little spirituality in a situation like that, because by the time you get in a tumultuous, abusive relationship, well, you gonna need God now, because that's really the only way you're gonna get out of it. He's gonna have to talk to you. You're gonna have to hear him tell you, get out of that. And that's just the way it is. You gotta move on. And for some women, this did not end well in a lot of cases. You know, I hate to say it, in some cases it was life-threatening. But, you know, you don't want to wait till it gets to that. You don't want to do that. And I really don't know for some of the cases out here, but a lot of times the aggressor, his family is not going to stick up for you. And some of them may see the problem in him. Some of them may see it, but they're not going to stick up for you. Not at all. Because they feel one or two things. It's going to mess up their family life with that person. Because he's either blood, or he's married into their family, or they are married into his family. He ain't going to stick up for you. Baby, no. And I think I was looking for that. And that's how desperate I got. I was looking for someone to say, you know, I was looking for, since I couldn't do it and I couldn't get him to sit down with me, here we are together. Who better should I be sitting down with but the person I'm involved with? He was sabotaging our relationship. And like I said, that was one of the red flags too. I'm in a relationship with you and you're sabotaging it. Mm-mm. And I began to think that, I don't know, I had a lot of ideals. And I had to have these, I had to sit down, and if I was talking to myself, I had to, because I couldn't talk with him. So here I am, I'm coming, and I'm telling him, I said, you know, you won't even talk to me. So you leading me to come up with all of this. He just sit there and listen, just look like a deer in headlights. Would never respond when I would ask a question. Have you ever had someone that you were sitting down with and you're fishing for answers? I was fishing for him, and he would only give me a no or a yes. He wouldn't elaborate on anything. To clear things up, to clear the smoke in the air, he would never do it. It was like he was the FBI. He would just give me yes and no answer. Yes or no. Okay, can you go on? Can you add to that? Explain to me, why am I feeling like this? Why am I thinking these things of you and you won't share? You don't talk to me about, why is it that you drinking all the time and coming? Is something bothering you? What's going on? Why is it I haven't met your kids yet? Here it is, the year is almost out. How come you haven't introduced me? They know you're here. Shoot, what's going on? There were other things too. Why is it that when you come in the house you always barking at me? And why are you always angry all the time? Why is it? Why is it? Why is it? This went on for a long time. A long time. And then I started thinking, like, well, maybe he's trying to leave hope out there for him getting back with his ex. Maybe that's what he wants. I'm not the violent or the fighting type. I'm not going to claw your eyes out. I'm not going to throw dishes or pots and pans. Just talk to me. I'm a professional woman. I just, you know, and with that, I pride myself of not trying to be that sort of person. There got to be a little control in you when you're trying to be that sort of person. A little control. I'm not saying I'm not capable of getting angry. I'm not capable of fighting. I'm not saying I'm not capable. I'm saying that by this time in my life and the path I have led for myself, you gotta have a little self-control. You got to. Which leads me to this video. I'm sitting here saying I don't want all of this chaos in my life, all of that drama that you're bringing in it. So that's what I'm saying. That led through my life of the path I've been led on, with me being a working person and, you know, trying to have people in my circle that I would prefer to be around so that I could try to have a happy life, because I truly believe we all want a happy life. Whatever that happy life is for you, you want to create that circle of friends around it. You can't control the family you've been born into, but you want to create that circle with people in it. And that includes your intimate relationships too. I mean, it has to be a blend. But my circle was coming to be because I was involving his family and his friends, and it looked like it was so one-sided. They weren't concerned on what was going on with me, with him. They wanted to keep this, I call it facade of this person here that was putting on this, I keep saying, a show of what he really was, you know. And I mean, well, the way I saw it, when they throw parties, you know, he's the guy with the liquor. He going to the liquor store, or he's going to buy, food for the party, whatever, without them asking him directly. They knew he would do it. Oh, he got it. So they weren't going to sit down and talk to him about these problems that they'll probably say they weren't aware of. But when I was sitting there, I would, being a woman, because you can tell I'm a conversationalist, I can sit down and talk to another woman. And you know, I'm approachable. I've always been that way. You could talk to me about almost anything. I'm not going to share all your business all over town. But, which is why I haven't brought up a name or anything either. But, um, these women, they were so mesmerized, as well as the men so mesmerized with him, because, he has a knack for doing it. But his personal life was a mess. It's still a mess. Ooh, gotta be that eggnog giving me the burpees. Yeah, his personal life is a mess. I mean, all of our personal life is probably a little mess in there, or some of us got big messes. But he choose not to clean it up. You got to clean up your own home, metaphorically speaking, before you talk about somebody else's. Sorry guys, I ran out of videotape. Well, that's the end of my video.